With the Summer Olympics in the books, I will take this opportunity to look ahead a little bit to the next Winter Olympics and a new Sabre that I believe has a good shot even, of being on an Olympic roster come the 2026 hockey tournament, which is only a couple of years away. We'll get to that coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Be sure to check out our show on YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. The sports don't stop this summer. FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Sneaky Joe DiBiase on today's show. We're going to go some Olympic content today. I am excited to talk about the Olympics. The Olympics in Paris, the Summer Games were incredible. The Peacock Gold Zone was an awesome experience to watch. The basketball tournaments were incredible. Everything, the gymnastics, the swimming, the streaming age makes the Olympics so much better to watch because you have so many events happening at the same time. And in the past, you had maybe 2 or 3 different options. Now you got 10 options, 12 options, and you also have a Gold Zone option, which you could watch 5 at the same time where they're bouncing around. Scott Hansen, Adrian Siciliano. So really cool Olympics. But of course, we're a hockey show. We're a Sabre show. And you know, if you listen to me enough, that I am so fired up. I am so pumped to see NHL players back at the Olympics in the Winter Games, which are coming up in a couple of years. We're not that far away. That's the next Olympic Games now. Summer's through and winter is next. And we've done shows. We've talked about, who is in line to be on an Olympic roster should they go back to the Olympics. Well, now we know they are going back to the Olympics, and we'll get to who's going to make the roster. But I did see a Twitter account, not even Twitter account, it was NHL Network, trying to figure out who is going to be the starting goaltender for Team Canada. It's a really tough question, and I just want to throw a certain Sabre goaltender's hat in the ring for that. So we'll get to that coming up here on today's show. Maybe even the possibility of 2 Sabre goaltenders starting for their teams at the Olympics, which would be completely wild. But I think there is a real chance at that happening. Even if I might be biting off a little more than I could chew on this, but I think there's a chance for sure. We are 53 days away until the Buffalo Sabres season begins. The regular season begins. I mean, football season comes first, and hockey season oftentimes, if you're a fan of both, like a lot of Buffalo sports fans are, the hockey season will sneak up on you because it starts pretty early on in the football season. 53 days away from Sabres versus Devils in Europe, which is where they will begin the season. No real big news to get to. We talked about Patrik Laine on our last show. If you want to check that out, be sure to on Laine and the whole scope of what a deal like with him would look like. And, depending on where you listen, other shows, other articles, I've seen them. I've taken in content on Laine. I think you're hearing a lot of different things on what his value is, on what his value is, what the Sabres would have to give up, what the bidding war could look like for him. And some tend to think, and this is a guess, I could be wrong on it, that there's this big price that you have to pay to get Patrik Laine. I saw someone texted in about Zach Benson being mentioned on one show. I forget which one. And I'm not there at all. One texter actually referencing the guys over at Around the Whistle, Andrew Peters and Craig Reve. They talked about the Sabres trading to get Laine, Kulich, Krebs, and a first-round pick. That is very different over what I said on our show last week. I think I said Krebs straight up, or Krebs in a second. That's actually what our texter texted too. Anything more than Krebs a second and maybe a late round pick, I would walk. And that's kind of where I was thinking, because you've got a guy that just came out of the NHLPA mental health program, and a guy that's been a very inconsistent goal scorer for a couple of years. He hasn't had the big 40-goal season in a while. He is not a well-rounded player. He doesn't really fit the Sabres style necessarily. Like, I was thinking that's a good trade idea because he's cheap, but Khalil Krebs in a first, you're not cheap anymore. I got no interest in you. So I mean, they could be right. Peters and Rivet could absolutely be right, and they have more sources than I would that are behind the scenes on that front. But I can't get down with that. I can't believe that he would go for that much. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense to me why he would go. What is the defense? Why is Columbus getting that much? Well, if he was coming off a 45-goal season or 3 straight years of not having injury problems and being able to stay on the ice, like, okay, I can get there with that, but I've got an expensive contract. I've got a player that's been inconsistent. I got a player that can't stay on the ice. Like, what's the defense of spending that much? I just don't really think that there is. So Krebs in like a throw-in to me is still the price that I'm thinking about for a Patrik Laine. Last episode, we broke that down fully. You can check that out if you haven't heard it yet, wherever you get your podcast. One other texter question that I want to get in here before talking some Olympics. One of our texters said that they saw an article, this was from Sean McIndoe of The Athletic, that said that the 06-07 Sabres are the best team in NHL history without any Hall of Famer on their team. And that's a really interesting question to kind of ponder if you go back in history and look at some of the best teams of all time that didn't have a Hall of Famer. And it is certainly debatable. I see why Sean is getting to the Sabres as the safest bet. He also mentioned the Blues, who won the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago as a team that's never won the Stanley Cup, or it doesn't have a Hall of Famer, but a lot of those guys aren't retired yet. Like Alex Pietrangelo, for instance. Maybe he'll make the Hall of Fame someday. Maybe, I don't think Ryan O'Reilly probably makes the Hall of Fame someday. Maybe the Blues will be a good bet here. But the Sabres had 113 points that 07 season, and the only guy, because I don't think Drury or Briere are getting in the Hall of Fame. I don't think Vanek or Campbell are getting in the Hall of Fame. Like, to me, Miller is the one, and even Sean writes that. Miller is the one that could derail that. He was just eligible this year, didn't get in. I don't know. I don't know about Miller making the Hall of Fame. That might be a close one. He's, the success at the Olympics might help him too. But 06-07 is where he goes because of the point total, because they won the President's Trophy. The 05-06 team is a better hockey team. I know we fell in love with the 05-06 team. I truly believe 05-06 was a better hockey team. I understand why he wouldn't look at that team and think that, because they didn't have as high a point total. They finished 4th. They reached the same point. They went to Game 7, though. The 07 Sabres went to Game 5. And to me, you look at those rosters, and unless I'm missing somebody, there's no one that's on 05-06 that wasn't on 06-07 that's going to the Hall of Fame, because your differences are Dumont and McKee, right? They're on the 05-06 team and not 06-07, and they're not going to the Hall of Fame. And beyond that, like Yuri Novotny is not going, obviously, Mika Norinen is not. Like, you don't really have another Hall of Fame guy there. So I tend to think 05-06 is a better hockey team. I'll defend that. I'll say 05-06 Sabres are the best team of all time without a Hall of Famer. I'm definitely biased, though, because that's my favorite team of all time. Anyways, I mentioned Miller. Miller, of course, the huge Olympics in 2010. Olympics just wrapping up in Paris, and our next Olympics, of course, are going to be in 2026 in Milan, Italy. So we'll get a European game. So similar timing, a lot of stuff in the mornings. And some afternoon stuff, right? Like the gold medal game for USA Basketball was at 3:30. So you get some afternoon stuff, too. I mentioned Miller and how he made a name for himself nationally for Team USA at the Olympics in 2026. Goalies can really take off. Now, in his case, it was Team USA, so even more so. I actually think there is a decent chance that in 2 years' time, we are maybe talking about 2 Sabre goaltenders not only making their Olympic teams, but potentially even starting for their Olympic teams. Let's start with the prediction that's probably a little bolder, but I don't even know. I think Levi for Canada might honestly be more likely than Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen starting for Finland. Let me get into it. And what spurred this in my mind that what made me want to talk about this today here on this Monday morning is NHL Network put a tweet out over the weekend because they're looking for some content too. They're talking about for the Four Nations face-off next February because we got those four teams: Finland, Sweden, Canada, U.S. next year competing in a tournament. And that tweet said Canada's options in the crease and laid out 6 names. And the 6 names to start for Canada next year are Tristan Jarry, Jordan Binnington, Aiden Hill, Stuart Skinner, Connor Ingram, and Logan Thompson. We are not talking about a very strong crop of goaltenders. There's some guys that aren't bad in there, right? Like, we've got starting goaltenders. Jarry is a starting goaltender. Stuart Skinner is a starting goaltender for his team. Binnington is a starting goaltender. But none of those guys are top-end star goalies in the league. In fact, if you look at kind of the overall save percentages of these goalies, the guy of all these starting goalies across the league that are Canadian that had the best save percentage was Cam Talbot. And Cam Talbot, who had a .913 save percentage for the Kings and now has moved on to the Red Wings, he's 37 years old. So in 2 years, 39-year-old Cam Talbot is not starting for Team Canada. A lot of these guys are very up and down goaltenders. Binnington is a crazy up and down goaltender. Aiden Hill, of course, has been more of a career backup, except for that one Stanley Cup run with Vegas. Logan Thompson is not a very experienced guy. Ingram has been super up and down. Skinner has been very up and down. None of them are rock solid consistent. None of them are star Vezina caliber goaltenders. Well, if you look around at Canadian goalie prospects, the number one name you're getting to is Devon Levi. Someone breaking out and becoming a Vezina caliber goaltender that's Canadian in 2 years' time. I would argue that more than Jarry, more than Binnington, more than Skinner, Ingram, Thompson, Aiden Hill, Cam Talbot, Fleury, even at that advanced age, I can't believe he'd still be playing. Darcy Kemper, I'm just reading down Canadian goaltenders. Sam Montembeault, Jake Allen, Calvin Pickard, Carter Hart, who's in trouble with the law because of his ridiculous World Juniors scandal that he probably should never play again because of, if found guilty. Like, if you look at young Canadian goaltenders, no one that's Canadian is more likely to be a Vezina candidate in 2026, in my opinion, than Devon Levi. And I don't think that's a stretch. Levi has been, I've talked a lot about him in the last couple of months. I'm very high on him, maybe as high as anybody. I think he's got star potential still, and even star likelihood with the Sabres in goal. But I think that extends to Canada. Not just, I think Devon Levi is certainly a Vezina guy in 2 years' time. Part of it is Canada doesn't have much here. This is why I think Team USA has a really strong chance of beating them at the Olympics in 2 years' time, is the U.S. has Hellebuck and all these other guys, and Canada just doesn't have the goaltending. And Levi could develop, and Levi has a history with Team Canada. He was very strong for them in the World Juniors a couple of years ago when he was an underage player still. So keep an eye on Devon Levi. If he really starts to ascend the way I think he could, that guy is going to be the starting goaltender for Team Canada in 2 years on the biggest stage in hockey, right next to the Stanley Cup playoffs, and could become a superstar name if he starts to take big steps year after year. You know, what's the right trajectory for Devon Levi, in my opinion? Given I'm someone that thinks he's got star potential, I'm thinking this year he starts to show I'm worthy of a 1B split role with UPL. Year 2, he takes another step forward and he tells you, okay, yes, UPL is a good number one goaltender. I'm going to be one of the best in the world. That's what he does in year 2. And that's when he starts to earn his spot as Team Canada's goaltender, because there's nobody else that's Canadian that I think has the potential that he does. So keep an eye on Devon Levi as the Olympic dream for him starts, I think, over the next 2 years. And I don't think his bar is very high to clear at all. When we come back, Why I think he's actually more likely than Luukkonen, despite the fact Luukkonen is a much more established goaltender at this point. And that also comes down to what UPL's up against to start for Finland in 2 years. It's not as easy as it is for Levi for UPL to get the starting job for Team Finland. That when we come back, and then we'll explore some of the rest of the guys on the Sabres roster and who can make their teams. That's coming up. Little Olympic version of the Locked On Sabres podcast as the Paris Games wraps up. We are presented here on the show by FanDuel Sportsbook. Okay, so yes, the Olympics are over, but I'm as sports obsessed as you are. And we've got preseason football. We have got baseball still going on. And one of my favorites, we got the English Premier League rolling starting on Friday and then into the weekend. So this summer, FanDuel's hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily for soccer, for football, for baseball. That's all starting up. College football, by the way, not far off either. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com. Start making the most out of your summer. Check out some of the run lines in some of these Yankee games or Mets games. Check out what Manchester United is favored in their first game on Friday against Fulham. They are a heavy favorite. Maybe you want to take a couple of underdogs in the Premier League, parlay them together, and get a giant payout if you get a couple of upsets along the way. Check out FanDuel.com, FanDuel official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Be sure to make your next listen Locked On Bills with our buddy Joe Marino, who's got you covered on all things Bills preseason. Saturday did not go well, but Joe, I heard, has, I listened to his show, and he's got some positives. It wasn't all bad, a lot of bad. He points out what was bad and what you need to focus on, but also the couple of bright spots that we had on Saturday as well for the Bills. Check out Locked On Bills, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Okay, so Levi, I think good shot of starting for Team Canada in 2 years. I would take that bet. Give me a plus odds bet, but I would bet on him being Team Canada's goaltender in 2 years' time. What about Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen? Because it would kind of be wild for a hockey team that's been searching for goaltenders since Ryan Miller retired or was traded, that in 2 years to think about two of the major powers in hockey, Canada much more than Finland, but still, Finland competes for gold medals. Two of the serious contenders for the gold medal, starting Buffalo Sabres goaltenders in goal. It's kind of crazy to think about, and it probably seems crazy, like psychotic. No chance that's going to happen. I think there's a chance. Levi's got to beat out a couple of middle-of-the-road starters, NHL starters. Luukkonen has one big name that he would have to unseat. And it's going to be very difficult, in my opinion, to beat him out. And it is basically older Devon Levi. Juuse Saros is undoubtedly the best Finnish goaltender in the National Hockey League today. He is 29 years old, so he will still only be 31 in a couple of years' time. There is no reason to think that he's going to fall off between now and then. He has been one of the most consistent goalies in the league since he became the starter, taking over for Pekka Rinne a couple of years ago. 31 is right smack dab in the middle of a goaltender's prime. I have no reason to believe that he is not going to be the starter in 2 years. He's a great goalie. He has not yet won a Vezina, but we're talking about someone that has been in the Vezina running pretty much every year for a couple of years. So since he started since he became the starter in Nashville, 2019-20, that first year, .914 save percentage, didn't get any votes for the Vezina. Okay, right? First on the block. His 4 years since, 6th in the Vezina voting, 3rd in the Vezina voting, 4th in the Vezina voting, 5th in the Vezina voting. The award voters have named him one of the 6 best goalies in hockey every year for the last 4 years. Goaltending is not usually that consistent. There is a big variance when it comes to goaltending. Guys have up years and guys have down years. Saros doesn't do that. Saros has great years and then another great year and then another great year. He is one of the most underrated goaltenders and slept-on goaltenders, in my opinion, in the National Hockey League. So it's a big job for UPL to beat him out. It's not impossible, though, because last year, despite the fact that Saros finished 5th in the Vezina voting, Some of that was reputation based, because if you look at their numbers, if you look at their save percentage numbers, if you look at goals saved above expected, where you end up is, oh, these guys are not that, they weren't that different last year. If actually some of the advanced numbers would tell you, oh, UPL was actually was the best finished goalie in the NHL last year. If you look at goals saved above expected last season, Luukkonen in total, this is a volume stat here, was the 6th best goalie in the NHL. And Saros, meanwhile, was 32nd. So he was a low-end number 1, and that's the volume stat. What I like better, Money Puck has this one, I wish Evolving Hockey did, but goals saved above expected per 60 minutes of ice time. You make it more of an efficiency metric, which is what I would want to do. Just otherwise it's a counting stat. If you look at goals saved above expected per 60 minutes of ice time, UPL comes in on the list at number 23. Okay? Number 23 for Luukkonen. Sorry, I had Levi's numbers up and just realized I made a mistake on that. So, okay, Luukkonen is number 29 on the list, and Juuse Saros was number 45 on goal save above expected per 60 minutes. So, UPL, better season last year. If he could build on that again, and then build on that again as he enters into, for sure, the prime of his career because of his age, Luukkonen has a chance there. I bet, though, at best, because Saros is so rock solid and consistent, that by the time we show up to those 2026 games, the best you could ask for is Luukkonen to be the splitting time with Saros and be a part of the rotation, not just the outright number 1. But we'll see. I don't know how high Luukkonen's ceiling is. If there's another big step forward, then maybe he could be that. There's no real big name past those two, though. I think Luukkonen's on the team if he just keeps doing what he's doing. He's on the team at least. Jonas Korpisalo, Antti Ranta, Ville Husso from out in Detroit, Kaapo Kähkönen. I tend to think that Luukkonen is on that team. It's just going to come down to whether he could beat out Juuse Saros to see if we get 2 Sabre netminders at the Olympic Games. What about the rest of them? Who else is in line to make their Olympic teams for the Buffalo Sabres? We'll break that down when we come back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented here on the show by Game Time. I was looking at some concerts the other day, looking to go to Post Malone, looking to go to Bills Jets in a couple of months. And where am I looking for all this? Because I want to know exactly where I'm sitting. I want to know what I'm looking at, what my angle is. And for that, you got to go to the Game Time app. Game Time, an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball as well, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. Killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Last minute deals, save up to 60% off while buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. For the Bills, go tailgate without a ticket if you don't have one. Just keep the app open and, 10 minutes till the game and you're out getting ready to pack up. And you go, oh, someone dropped the tickets way down. Game Time dropped the tickets way down because it's about to start. Happens all the time. It's a really good way to get into the game. It's risky for sure, but you can get a good deal doing it that way. Zone deals save you more when you choose the section. Let Game Time choose the seats for you. Seat views, you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Final segment here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. The Olympics wrapping up in Paris has me thinking about the next Olympics, the Winter Olympics in Milan, where I believe we're going to have a couple of different Buffalo Sabres represented. I already told you I think that both goaltenders have a very good shot of getting that done. What about the rest of the roster? You look through Team Canada, probably not. I know Dylan Cousins has played for the team for the Canadians at the World Championships and the World Juniors. It would be a ton, I think, to ask him to make that team in 2 years. I'm not, and for the year he just had, not even thinking about it. Owen Power, outside chance. Outside chance. He's got to take the major step forward. He's got to become, I keep saying I think there's a Victor Hedman jump in there some point in his career. He'll have to make the Victor Hedman jump well before that happens for him to make the team. So outside chance for Owen Power. Because the blue line's a little thin. Another advantage that Team USA has. Deeper on the blue line, Team USA than Canada. Jack Quinn. Canada, it'd be a little bit of a surprise. Zach Benson surprised me if anyone made the team. Finland, I think UPL's going to be on the team. I think Henri Jokiharju is going to be on the team. I don't know if he'll be a Sabre in 2 years' time, but I think Jokiharju will be on that team. In fact, I might want to bet he's not a Sabre within 2 years. But Finland, very thin on the blue line, and he'll be on that squad. JJ Peterka, automatic for Team Germany. You will see JJ Peterka with, knock on wood, there's no injury. You'll see him for Team Germany in 2 years, probably playing on the top line with Leon Draisaitl or Tim Stützle, or maybe they'll just go super line and put all three of those guys together. You will absolutely see Rasmus Dahlin on probably the top pair for Team Sweden. That's a staple. He's been playing for Sweden internationally at every level for a long time. And he'll get his first chance to play in the Olympics in 2 years as well. And then finally, Team USA. Team USA is going to be tough. It's going to be really close. I think, before I get to Tage, Alex Tuch has a slight chance. He would need to have the season he had 2 years ago, though. The 36-goal year consistently for a couple of years for him to earn probably a fourth line role. That's what I think would have to be in store for Tuch. He's got to do what he did, not this past year, but the year before. He's got to do it for 2 years. And then, and only then, he's probably getting a fourth line spot. Thompson, meanwhile, is going to be very intriguing because he plays center now. But center is the spot that the U.S. has grown the most, where they have gotten better. Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, Jack Eichel, Dylan Larkin. That's your four. Thompson beating out one of those four is going to be a job. And he's got it in him. He goes 47 goals, 47 assists version of Tage Thompson again. And is he a better center than Dylan Larkin is? Sure. But I don't know if that's who he'd be competing with, because Larkin is more of a two-way guy. I could totally see him being the perfect fourth line center type of center for Team USA. Thompson being more of a skilled guy, a scorer. Is he pushing Hughes or Eichel to the wing so that Thompson could play the center position? That's going to be, maybe they would do that. Maybe they'd want to go super line with Austin Matthews and Jack Hughes together, or Austin Matthews and Jack Eichel together. Maybe Eichel and Matthews have always wanted to play together, and they'd be willing to do it. So that's an option. Tage could actually give them a good problem to have. If Thompson gets so good again, where, okay, this guy's got to play center for us, we'll put Matthews, Hughes, Thompson, and Larkin down the middle, and we'll move Eichel to Matthews' wing and have a crazy talented number one line. That's an option. The other option is to move Thompson to the wing. And that's something I see a lot of these pundits guessing at the most, that he'll make the team, but you're going to see him playing on the wing. And I don't know how much I like that. I don't hate it, because he's a better player than he was before. But don't we credit a lot of his success in recent years to Don Granato switching him from the wing to center? Now you want to put him back on the wing at an international level. I just don't know how well that would go. He is someone that kind of needs that space to operate in the center of the ice. I don't know how well of an idea it is to put him on the wing. It doesn't have to go poorly. He's a different player than he was. He's a bigger player than he was, thicker. He's a more mature player. I don't think he'd be horrible. I just think you're not getting the best out of him if you decide to play him on the wing. So in my opinion, the best idea is put Thompson, if he gets back to what he was, which I'm guessing he will, put him down the middle on Team USA. The third option, of course, is that he gets left off the team completely. And if he plays like he did last season, he's not getting on Team USA. Team USA is too good now. They're too deep. He's not beating out a Kyle Connor or a Jake Gensel or a JT Miller or a Jason Robertson, Brady Tkachuk, Clayton Keller, Dylan Larkin. He's not beating one of those guys out with the season he just had. USA is a lot better than they've been offensively. And they're not in need of goal scoring as much as they have been in the past this next Olympic cycle. So Thompson making Team USA is very much there for him, but he's got a high bar to clear. He's got a tough bar to clear with his position specifically. And I think he's going to have to return to 90-plus point Tage Thompson if he wants to be on that United States team. That's pretty much it. Don't think there's anybody else. Yuri Kulik, outside chance, maybe a good chance. If he becomes an NHL player by then and a decent NHL player, then Czechia is very realistic for him. They're weird though. Like they'll take a lot of their Czech league guys to the Olympics for chemistry reasons and because just their closer relation with their hockey program, overtaking NHL guys, but they'll if they're talented enough, they'll take the talented guys. So Kulik is maybe a decent idea to make his team as well. Olympics in 2 years, I cannot wait. If you watch that basketball tournament, you see how special of the moments you can get from best on best international sports. And Gary Bettman passing on these moments for 10 years is criminal. And I'm so glad that they're finally going back, but we got 2 more years to wait. So Levi and Luukkonen, keep an eye on them because I think they both got really good shots. That's going to do it for us today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. A lot more off-season content coming your way. We'll have some fun. I like doing some nostalgia in the off-season as well. We'll look back on some trades and some of the old Sabre teams in the coming shows as we will, by the next time we speak, be within 50 days of the regular season. That's going to do it for us today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.